Hi, this is Firestarter and this is my review of the S.I.C Masked Rider Zo and Doras. And I would like to tell you right now that I'll be using Zo, not Zeto or Zeto, just like what they pronounce in the movie or the show. I'm just pronouncing it as Zo because it's easy for me to remember and it's easy for me to understand. So stop telling you what's the right pronunciation of Zeto or Zo, but I'll be saying Zo all the way throughout this review. And we have here the S.I.C box. It says volume 26, and we have here Masked Rider Zo and Doras Bandai Super Imaginative Chogokin volume 26, and still we have here the name Masked Rider Zo and Doras, or Zeto if you still are nitpicking about doing this, me pronouncing his name incorrectly. And some windows of the box, so you can still see the figures at the side panels. And here at the back we have some of the poses that you can do with Doras and Zo, and some of the things that you might want to do with these pair. And then later on I'll be discussing and be comparing Zo with Kamen Rider J. Without further ado, let's open the box and let's take a look at this pair. First, let's take a look at Doras. Doras has a pair of open hands and a claw with 2 orbs and 2 kinds of tails. The longer version of his tail is a flexible plastic, and I bet there's a wire inside that allows it to bend in different sections. This helps Doras in placing in different positions without the tail hindering most of its possibilities. Assembly requires just a few. You only need to plug in his 2 antennas on his forehead. These antennas are in clear plastic. Just on the tip, it combines subtlety with a good design. Plugging the tails is just a walk in the park, and removing these 2 tails is not a problem. But in my experience, the shorter version is more snug fit on Doras rather than using the longer tail. The first gimmick that you will notice is the chest piece that opens up to insert the 2 orbs. The 2 orbs comes in 2 parts. We have the matte silver version and the other one is a die cast. And it won't be a problem if you store 1 orb inside the chest because it won't fall off even if you shake the figure. Another accessory is the claw that you can take out of the right arm of Doras. It may entail squeezing in just to give a snug fit on the figure. This organic look would give Doras an edge for most of the figures that came out of the S.I.C line. The last gimmick I would like to show you is the mouthpiece that opens up and closes, which is a common appeal for the early S.I.C Kamen Rider releases. In terms of mode, Doras is even better than Kamen Rider Amazon in terms of its organic look. Some of its parts are airbrushed to provide that S.I.C-ness that everyone craves for. In terms of articulation, he has a head, chest, arms, knees, hips, waist. That is enough for you to play with Doras. The only hindrance that I could see is on the shoulders because of its accent. The legs are in clear plastic, but the shoulders are somewhat in a die-cast feel. Good thing is that Kamen Rider Zo is much easier to manage than Doras. The only assembly that you will do is plugging those antennas in. His gimmick is exchanging the face with a different set of mask. The mask looks like a pair of choppers, similar to what he does when he changes from human form and completing himself to a Kamen Rider. Accessory entails 2 open hands, which you can use for those fighting sequences. And that's all about Kamen Rider Zo. And to shatter all of the differences and similarities, let's call in Kamen Rider J. And then we have these 2 figures, Kamen Rider J and Kamen Rider ZO or Zo. But again, I'm still using Zo because it's easier for me to remember. some people would really tell that there are similarities between these two figures. Even the mold and some of the parts that came or was done on these two are practically the same. But there are slight differences. Obviously, this is J and this is Zo, and there are differences in terms of the paint applications. Like for Zo, we have lines here that are in gold and he is in darker color. Gem here in the middle is different from Kamen Rider J. And as you can see here, the neckline is different because Zo has a different or he has a groove here, so he can tilt more on his head, and unlike Kamen Rider J. And of course, here at the back we have the same mold, but it lies on a different paint applications. They are the same in terms of mold as I've mentioned earlier, and they have both the same problems with the arm articulation, because as you can see here, you cannot really spread those arms. If you want to know the possibilities for these two figures, and of course we'll throw in Doras too, do check out the photos at the end of the video, and do subscribe to my blogspot for the full review. This is Firestarter. Thank you very much for watching, and see you on my next review.